Hello everyone, I'm Point and Click Gaming, and today we're going to be going over Girth McSlammer's map pool for his tournament on June 12th, I believe. So a week and 2 days from now. Literally a week on Friday. So it's going to be interesting. He gave everyone 2 weeks to prepare. A lot of people are going through the maps. Before we begin, currently at 1773, top 18. 1754 is the ELO rating for top 19. If I recorded this a day earlier, I would be at 1827. So I lost 60 ELO points. I was at 1834. So I need to win 60 matches to catch up. So quite a big drop, but still top 18, which is actually enough to get me in the ranked in the top half of the map pool, which is still gonna be rough here. Ooh, I need to pull up the bracket. So this is the current map pool right now, and as you can see, um, GMS Girth McSlammer is fighting against the 32nd rank fixation. So Assassin XRE is fighting against Lord, so pretty even matchup. I'm matched up against Dragon. I'll probably go up against Aka, is provided there's no upsets. Neo top 5, which is now 4 unknown error, is fighting against Blocka, who's top 13. Well, I'm above Blocka. Yeah, he's 1700. Curly, so Blocka's it's gonna face Neo. If he survives that, he'll face Curly Head. Talvi is also pretty high up there. Trazenel, V Rezer, who's one of the mods and creator of the World of Dots guide. Mike K Free Lava, yeah, he's above. He's above me. He's 2000. He's pretty high up there. Sir Use Black. I don't know. I've never fought against him. Pretty highly rated. Sleepy, winner of the last tournament. Don't know any of Concerto or Saul Goodman. Mr. Gavad, 6, so he dropped out of top 5, and then just some players. So on the bottom, you have Sleepy there, and Mike Free, Trays, so a lot of high tier players. In the top half, we have Random Man, Girth McSlammer, Curly, Talvi, I guess, and Neo. So very interesting roster. Best of luck to Assassin. He has two tough opponents, Lord, who's evenly matched, and then Girth McSlammer, who I think we know is obviously the favorite to win here. But we'll see if Sleepy or Curly can pull off some sort of upset and Trey's interesting set of maps. So let's take a look at the map, shall we? Um, so I think map number 1 is 2300. Let me check them. No, that's 2191. Yeah, so map number 1 is 2191. It's a river map. 2300. This is the battle line map. What are the other ones? 2171, 2127. Snow map. This is an interesting one. We have 2351. This is the lake map, and then the last one is the cave map, which we'll go over some of the intricacies of all of these and how I would play them. Not necessarily the correct way to play them, just theory crafting here. So let's go over that in our nope, not that one. In our annotations, so we'll be pulling up my browser here. Okay, nice. So let's go through annotations and just map analysis. So we'll select the correct file. Map 1. Okay, let's take a look at some of the terrain stuff, shall we? We need to look at terrain matchups. So this is the War of Dots guy that I recently came across. We'll look at terrain here. This is probably the more important one. Ooh, nope, scroll too far. We'll look at the setup data later. So, the only thing on sand is no distinguishable event. Sand is same as plains. Tank has reduced damage on force, which I just learned. Hill is nothing. Just tanks are slower on hill. Interesting. So there's no reinforcement. Okay. And some of these maps will be important. Mud or swamp is a debuff, which is interesting on a four-player map. And then rivers. So bridges and cities are the same as plains, which is interesting. Anyway, not much to talk about there. Let's talk about the map as a whole. What's opening strategy? Um, Red has a strong side because oh, woo. Red. Oh, what is path? Yeah. Okay. Red is a strong side in the south because of these two bridges. Blue is a strong side in the north because of these two bridges. There are long reinforcement paths here. Um, this map is slightly favored for red because of this patch of forest here. Theoretically, if you look at it, it's almost mirrored with the mountain hills, which is makes these two patches defendable, right? Blue has a stronger front line of defense because of the hill versus forest, right? Tanks have a debuff in forest, so there's less pushing maneuver. But really, you're going to be trying to protect your capital, and you're going to pick whether to send your troops north or south. As I said before, red wants to push south, blue wants to push north. Um, it's all of Girth's maps that he chose are balanced. Let me take a look here. Where are the screenshots? Um, is it map one code? Yeah, it's map one code. New? Maps, map one. Yeah, it should be map one code. Oh, we need to take this out. Um, yeah, so this is by Girth McSlammer. He self-designed it, which is really nice. So this is we have impassable mountain terrain here, so naval invasions are limited. Lots of sand, so you're gonna have some jumping off points. You could do naval invasions. It's relatively constricted. It's a lot more fast-paced than usual because blue's pushing north, red is pushing south. Uh, you can center push. Naval invasions are not recommended. You just don't have the what is it called? You don't have the city power projection or this like black line border supporting you. The forces are against you. So as I said, conventional theory states you push north or you push south. I mean, blue is a slight defensive bonus edge here. The force is interesting, which means this is a defendable. This is a natural terrain barrier. So you want to push across that or with lights. Not much theory here because it's just a relatively chaotic map. As I said before, because of this patch of forest, red has a little bit more defense. Blue does not have that same defensive width, combat width as well. So if you're on this map, I would pick red. It's a relatively red-sided map. So basically, you don't want to host for map number one. And that's basically opening theory that I've got. Okay, let's take a look at map number two, shall we? Um, okay, map number two is the map I hate the most. This is by Trazenel, I believe. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Yeah, this is by Trazenel, and of course it is. This guy's the most aggressive player. I don't want to talk about player profiles just because it's too unfair to them. So I won't be mentioning certain people's playstyles, or I'll try to avoid it. But this is going to favor in a very aggressive heavy map. I've played as blue plenty of times, and I think I'm just too slow at micro. This is my first ban pick. I think this is relatively balanced. I haven't found any sort of imbalance. I mean, blue has maybe a slightly harder reinforced path because of all these obstacles in the south in this peninsula. I don't know if this mountains prevent reinforcements. Blue cities are relatively concentrated. I couldn't tell you. I think it's relatively balanced. This map favors good maneuverability and good micro. And so if you're really technical with that, certain players come to mind. Definitely, but this is the map I'd be banning. It's too even to tell, so I'm not going to say too much more. Just a relatively balanced map overall. Let's take a look at map number three. This is going to test your map knowledge. So let's go back to the chart here. If you look on the chart, you're going to see that snow has a debuff in terms of speed, right? So 0.4 and then 0.24 for tanks. So tanks move extra slow. Notice how infantry deal less damage and tanks deal less damage. Almost infantry deal 20.2 out of 8. a quarter, 25% reduction in damage, and tanks similarly deal with 25% reduction in damage. So you're basically tanks are almost like infantry on snow, not completely, but they're very close. So 2-on-1s would work. There's even with the 33% defensive increase, right? Because of the 1 to 1.15, that's a 33% decrease in defensive attack debuffs. You're going to want to position your units on snow. So that's opening theory, or the data back theory. What does that mean? Okay, so we're going to notice the troop imbalance here of two tanks on snow, which obviously, as we discussed, already have a debuff against the two tanks on a hill. The only difference on the hill is that tanks move slower. The forest tanks deal almost the same damage as an infantry unit. So opening theory dictates you're going to attack two red and you're going to pull all your units here. Um if I was blue, I'd put this tank on the city because cities count as regular terrain. So because of that, there's this natural barrier which makes assaulting this city particularly difficult. And this city, because of this forest, means tanks have a hard time assaulting, and then attacking on snow is not favorable at all. The only city that's kind of risky to defend is probably this one. So, but it's so far behind the back line that if you're losing the cycling match, this is not going to help you. As I said before, the capital is here, so there's going to be a frontal showdown. So you either buy time for space, which means you abandon this entire front and just charge all your forces in the cave here, or you cycle city by city trying to see who dies first. As I said before, favorable trades, tanks should not be trading on the snow. If they need to, they can defend on snow, but they should not be attacking on snow. Tanks should never be in the forest here. It's a maneuverability battle. Tanks should really ideally be situated on cities if you can pull that off. And then this cave battle is probably the most important cycle region of all, which red gets an initial advantage. There's no point in blue cycling. Blue will eventually fall. So if you're on this map, you do not want to host. A lot of these maps are not host friendly. Yeah, red just has a small micro advantage here, which will eventually pile up. And that's the map theory for map number 3. And is this by GMS, Girth McSlammer? Yes, this is by Girth McSlammer. Okay, let's take a look at map 4. That's opening theory. As I said before, all these maps are super balanced. That's probably the most imbalanced map of the bunch. But this map is interesting. I've always been as host. I've never been, just because host I think has less server lag, which is nice. So their orders are a lot faster. This is the most balanced map I think by far. I don't think there's a mountain barrier here, which means this city is relatively well protected. So I would say this has a slight advantage for blue. Um, Looking at the terrain map, there is no defensive bonuses for being on sand. So yeah, these two tanks, I guess, don't really need to be there. Don't pull back too far though because of this forest, unless you put a tank on the city there. Um, yeah, I mean, with besides the natural barrier here and the lack of forest, I think this makes blue want to assault the northern part. Um, Naval invasions are difficult. This is such a tight front line. Um, Naval invasions are definitely an interesting thing. Girth really likes to put sand around his city, so that's an interesting detail of him as a map maker. I don't. I think this is just relatively balanced. As blue, I like to cycle north, but I'm basically turtling on this map. This is my map that I would fight evenly against most players on. This is probably my favorite map pick, which you probably could ban, but I don't really care. Let's take a look at map number 5. That's about it. Map number 5 is interesting. This is another imbalanced map. Why is map 5 code not there? Oh, because I put double P's. Also by Girth McSlammer. Is 4 by Trazenel? I know. Okay, so this is by Trazenel. Okay, interesting. Interesting design. So this Trazenel did the sand. Okay, interesting. But yeah, not much to say there. I don't really have much to say on that map. That one's just relatively balanced. And let's take a look at map number 5. This is a host advantage map. The reason why is because of this cave here. You put a tank through the middle, and because of this tight front line, you just cycle the south here. As I said before, well, no, if you know that, basically red is pushing for time. If red commits their units to the south, you just stopgap it and then you commit your units north. This is very advantage to blue, even though their cities are a little bit more exposed than usual. This tank cave definitely makes up for it. Just be wary of maneuvers. Naval invasions are always a thing. I'm trying to think here. Is there any other possibilities? Blues capitals on a forest, which is interesting. Blues northern cities on a forest, red cities on a plain, which means it's harder to defend. Yeah, I think this is just blue-sided because you just cycle this cave here. So this is map 5 is probably another imbalanced one, depending on if you're hosting or not. So that's about it for the overview of Girthmic Slammer's tournament maps. Just a short video uh, going over some basic theory. So 3 and 5 are the ones with actual imbalances. 1 and 2 is basically your skill maps, depending on how skilled you are. 1 is definitely interesting north-south side. Red is a slight advantage there. And 4 is just you're going to be your slogfest. 4 is the great equalizer. If your first match, I think you should probably do 4, and then as a tiebreaker, you want to see things. So I think 4 is probably the map that's going to be played the most, just based on tournament predictions. So that's it for the map analysis and openings of Girth McSlammer's tournament maps.